Okay, welcome to the County of San Mateo Coastside Design Review Committee meeting. Today is Thursday, March 13, 2025, and it is now 1:32 p.m. And this hearing consists of 3 projects and is being audio recorded. And there are 2 opportunities for the public to provide comments, including a public comment period for matters that are not on the agenda, and a separate public comment session for each project on the agenda. And for the fairness and orderliness of this meeting, please limit your speech to 3 minutes or less. And the Design Review Committee's decision for items number 1 through 3, if any, they are appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 working days of the letter of decision by filing an appeal and paying the applicable filing fee. And as a reminder, the CDRC does not review matters related to zoning standards, local coastal policies, or the general plan, and will only review projects based on the design review guidelines and standards. So with that, we'll move on to roll call. Mark Stagmeyer, not present. John Stedman, not present. Julian Martinez, not present. April Bingham, not present. Moshe Porter. Markton is currently not present, but did notify us he'd be here around 1:40. And James Bennington.
I'm here.
Okay, next we will move on to chairperson's report, and Mark Stagmeyer did provide a chair report, so I can kind of read through. So first, relating to old business, the demonstration of skill letter was sent to Supervisor Ray Mueller, but no response has yet been received.
All right. I guess I'm curious if Mark has heard anything, but did you guys send it out?
No, I believe Mark might have been the one who sent it, yeah. So as of now, we have not received any comment.
All right. Yeah, I'm curious if he has any other news.
Which I think is common. Normally, the comments would be provided once the full update to the design standards is before them.
Okay, so it'll be kind of it'll be part of the whole package. Gotcha.
Correct, yeah. And also at a prior meeting, the committee received a presentation regarding California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA compliance, as you do make determinations when it's simply a design review permit and you are acting on a permit, but not something you would have to do when it's simply a recommendation to the Planning Commission. And that's all he had for old business. Anything else? Questions or any other items to bring up at this moment regarding that?
No, I mean, I think it is kind of out to Camille that I'd love to see a version of that revised. Is it the revised blue book?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see as soon as it's ready.
Yeah, I do know her intent is to get it to you with plenty of time to review it before it comes here for a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think once that's ready, you'll receive it with ample time to review. Yeah.
Do you know where that's at?
I do not. I can get back to you though, regarding that. Camille would be the one to have that date.
Okay.
Okay. And then on to.
Yeah, and then I think when it does come out, either when it's like put into motion or beforehand, it'd be cool to set aside an hour for us to just kind of go over stuff.
Sure.
Internally, would be pretty productive.
Okay, noted. I think that's a good idea. Okay, if nothing else regarding old business, on to new business. So still looking for additional recruitments for the committee, especially for the El Granada area. So if you happen to know anyone or anyone in the audience that happens to know anyone would be interested, the applications are online. And also please remember if there is any old or new business that any of you would like to have Mark put on the chairperson's report, please notify him by email prior to the next hearing. So that concludes the chair report. The first item, actually, before moving to the first item, next, let's open up public comment. So we're now opening public comment for matters that are not on the agenda. So for those attending in the meeting in person, speaker forms are available on the back wall near the door. And please provide me with your speaker slip as soon as possible. And for those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak. And for those joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand, and pressing *6 will both mute and unmute your microphone. So in person, I don't have any speaker requests for matters not on the agenda. For those attending by Zoom, I'll give a couple moments in case you would like to speak. Please use the raise hand feature to indicate your desire to speak.
You gotta,
I'm the architect and this is my client, so we'd like to speak on that next meeting.
So this is for matters, yeah, not on the agenda, correct, yeah. Okay. So seeing none, we'll now close the public comment for matters that are not on the agenda. The first item is scheduled to begin at 1:45, so we'll take a pause until 1:45. So it is now 1:45. So we'll go ahead and move on to item number 1, and Mark Din, as the community representative, would you like to introduce the project?
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So this project's in El Granada. The applicants, slash owner is Tom and Christine Door.
Got it.
Yeah, I hope I got the pronounce right. File number PLN 2023-00352. The location's at 172 El Granada Boulevard. And the accessor's parcel number is 047-191-470. This is a consideration of a design review permit to allow the construction of a new 443 square foot garage and 608 square foot accessory dwelling unit beneath the garage for an existing 3-story, 1,902 square foot single family residence on an 11,294 square foot legal parcel. The project involves no tree removal and only minor grading. The project also proposes a 608 square foot ADU below the garage. Consideration of which is a ministerial, I never know how to pronounce that word, action that does not require review by the CDRC. In conjunction with the requested DR permit, it is recommended that the CDRC determine that the project is categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to the CEQA guidelines, section 15303A. The project is not appealable, but to the California Coastal Commission, and the application is deemed complete as of January 6, 2025, with the project planner being Kanoa Kelly.
Thank you. And the applicant's representative is present, if you'd like to go over the design elements of the project.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I have my clients introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Tom, and this is my wife Christine, and this is Chris Ridgway, our architect. Appreciate everyone's time, getting us onto the agenda today, so appreciate that. And looking forward to engaging with you all on the design, seeing how we can move this forward. I think the ADU proposed is very modest for the lot size, and so but looking forward to getting feedback and figuring out how we can move forward.
Okay.
I think you all have a pretty good idea of the layout of the floor plan, or should I go through that to make sure it's clear, just what the overall mass?
This is your opportunity to present the project.
Let's see if we can go through the first floor plan, which would be the garage level. Okay, yeah, this is the ADU that's below it, and the part of the existing house. So let's go back to the main render again, and I'll explain it here. At the very top, it's that. Okay, there's a new garage that's proposed, and below that is the ADU. Existing right now, there's a carport that is kind of crowding the street. It's actually in the front setback, but it was legally done because there's exceptions on steep lots to the driveway get too steep. But that when you see the house, you look into the carport, and it's just not a very flattering view of the structure. So that was the first thing that we wanted to see if we could do. And I'm going to then have Tom explain a little bit about the difficulty of backing out of that carport, why we went for this design.
Yeah, so the carport would be on that left side, it was where it is existing today. And it is fairly close to the sidewalk. It's got a very steep incline to get in and out of it. And backing out of that carport kind of puts the driver in a position of danger for traffic that's coming down El Granada Boulevard. And so sometimes you'll get stuck in the middle of the street and cars are slamming on their brakes as they're coming around. So it's a bit of a hazard for us to get in and out of that.
Just on the next sheet, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
But is that shown on the mid-level as the deck? Can you scroll to the next page? Oh, sorry.
Make it easier.
Is that the deck area?
No, I think this is the
Yeah,
existing house. Let's see.
It's actually, it would be here.
On the mid-level, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to orient. Thanks.
Right, good, I'll let you.
Yeah, the carport has a beautiful view. So that's good, but I know in the past, the neighbors have told us there's been trucks that have come down there and like crashed into it.
Yeah, in the past, yeah.
So. Dangerous.
So that was one of the major drivers in the design, but also aesthetically, it was nice to take off the garage and then get more room from the street aesthetically, more room for landscaping. And so that worked out well. As we added the structure, it would have been tempting just to add on to the house, just as it is. But the house is kind of box-like, and then to just make it bigger, didn't seem really a great design solution. So I worked with my clients and we proposed breaking up the mass by separating the garage and the ADU below. The other thing, the reason we partly did this was structural. And if we added right onto the house, then it's difficulty underpinning and reinforcing where the two meet, and they may settle differently and stuff. So that was part of the reason why they separated it off. Then we wanted to copy the existing house, so we used a flat roof on that. But that was advantageous in a couple ways. It allowed to have a view. We go back to the rendering. And allowed a view over the top of the garage. And you can also see it that if we had just copied the main house and basically had 2 floors up, it would not only block view, but it would be kind of bulky. And so this way we were able to mimic the main house and make it an interesting composition as opposed to just making it big and difficult. One of the nice things about doing this is if we have all these toys now that I can model the house 3-dimensionally, and then also I took a picture off the site and I was able to marry them together so we can get a pretty good idea what it really looks like. The project is truly small. The ADU is 680 square feet and the garage is 443 square feet. And when you add all this up with the existing house, it's actually 1,173 square feet underneath site coverage. And that's a lot of space. It's a big lot. It's even more dramatic when you look at the floor area. It's actually 3,000 square feet underneath the floor area. So it was nice to work with a client that had a big lot and didn't want to try to cover it all and have it. So it's a modest design, but I think it makes a big change. And I really enjoyed working with Christine and Tom on doing this. So if you have any questions, we'll obviously be here.
Okay, and just a little bit for process, just want to kind of outline that. So after the presentation from you guys, we will ask questions and then open it up to public comment and then have a discussion on this item with a little bit of a back and forth with you guys. And then at the end of that, we'll ask you if you want us to move forward with a vote on our recommendation or not. So, okay, yeah, so this, Louis, it's, I think I'm good to open up the questions.
Okay,
Public.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, before public comment, we have
some clarifying question. Okay, okay,
questions.
please do.
I have one, but I'll see if motion wants me to start. Or...
Yeah, you go ahead. Sorry.
The description of the project talks about a new construction of the garage and ADU. I did notice some comments about changes to windows on the main structure. So I just wanted to ask you guys and then ask the planning staff here, but just to ask you first off, just can you summarize or talk about the scope to the existing structure?
So the windows and siding on the existing house have all been replaced last year with the same windows that we're wanting to put in the ADU. So it's all been updated as of last year.
Oh, okay, so all that, yeah, because some of that shows up on the plans as
Needing to be done, that might be an old comment.
you find page number here. Yeah, on A 2.1. There's a call out there that says all windows and exterior doors and existing structures are to be replaced.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's scope of this project, so.
You're stupid, that's correct. It's what the explanation is given is right. Then we should have removed, well, it's been a long process going through this. So I think that the plans might have been in And then they want to. You know, we
But
house, and I
it's
think
been
that.
taking so long that we actually just went ahead and did that project, part of the project up front.
Okay, so Louise, I just want to confirm that, so we're not looking at any, part of our review is the new structure, not any of the old structure.
Correct, that does appear to be the case. Unfortunately, the project planner is not here, but let me see if he may be.
Okay, so I guess part and parcel of that is there's a description of a new terrace. Is that part of this work to be coming, or?
Let's go back to the plan and let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. So, that there is obviously a large, yeah, let's see, let's do the rendering because it's so pretty much it's higher. So that walkway that goes to the house is being replaced and that is new. And the terrace between the two is new. And the bridge that goes to the garage new. And the ADU below is new. So
There's a terrace between the new garage structure ADU and the existing house.
yeah, to be able to walk from the garage to the house, you use that walk.
Okay, so that's new,
That is a
proposed.
yeah.
Okay. I guess I just asked in the future that the description of the project, it describes all the new
Okay,
additions and not just, it read a certain way.
Yeah.
This is just a new structure, but, the changes to the existing house, I think added some confusion about what was.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, and then the demolition of the existing carport,
Okay,
be good to get in there too.
Which is done, not done?
It's her, oh yeah, it's not done.
Okay, the project plans don't describe that, I believe. I think it's just what you guys have mentioned in the presentation.
Yeah, do we see that on the?
That's why I was asking like where the carport is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drawings.
It's been around 3 years since I've done the drawings.
It's on the site.
And so I
Oh,
think, yeah, so I can't quite read it from here to part of the problem, but if, existing covered carport demoed replaced with tree and ground cover.
Yeah.
At grade, so that's noted there on the site plan.
okay, thank you. Good questions.
Yeah, don't mean to scare you guys, it's a really nice project. I don't think I have any comments. I was curious about the lighting, but it looks like it's all, or mostly recessed. It's great. I think. Just one kind of miscellaneous comment, but I can bring it up later. Yeah. I think overall it's a really nice improvement.
Okay, we'll open up the public comment before our discussion.
Yeah.
so we're now opening public comment for item number 1. I don't have any speaker request slips in person. If there's anyone online that would like to speak, please indicate by using the raise hand feature on Zoom. Okay, seeing none, Chair, please indicate if you would like to close public comment.
Yes, I'd like to close public comment.
So we'll now limit the discussion again between the committee member, staff, and the applicant. We're getting clarifying questions for them.
Yeah, maybe I should have asked this before, but just that new terrace, if you guys, and my apologies if I'm missing this reading the plans, but is that, what's the material or?
Here's a
Is it
material
impervious?
board that is, was fitted with this. And that's showing the siding, I think a little further down, it shows the, for a while, I think you can see that. I think that's the decking that's there on the left. So these are taken obviously out of sure, so we're not doing the pool. So, but anyhow, those are good. But, so I think that's, I'd have to, once again, it's hard to read from here, but I think that's the new deck. Is
Yeah,
that,
it's like a fiber line.
Gotcha, and just the subsurface, I'm assuming is it coming down to the ground and.
you know, one of the things I like about the design is that we go back to the rendering, is that terrace kind of floats. And so it's not so obvious on this, but you go to the elevation below this. I think that Luis, you were just on it there, okay. So this shows the materials and the colors and stuff. And there is, a deck there, waterproofing below, but that's in the background. So there's this kind of bridge-like effect is what we're trying to achieve, getting this kind of floating.
I just wanted to, think about the drainage, and if we're adding impervious surface, or if that's. But it looks like deck material, the spacing, so. I guess I didn't catch what's underneath.
I believe we submitted civil plans with this too, that addresses the drainage.
Yeah, it would have been routed to the drainage section as part of the review before coming here, yeah. So they would have had a provided comment before we scheduled up for the CDRC.
Yeah, I didn't have any particular, things that stood out for me about the lighting or the landscaping. When I pull up the Google Maps, it looks like there's quite a large tree.
Oh, yeah, those have been,
Okay, so-
yeah,
That's already been.
those are not there anymore.
They were eucalyptus,
They're
right?
all eucalyptus.
Yeah, which are pretty messy trees.
Yeah, I saw a note there about a 2022 removal of a tree, but it seemed like a different tree that was further back in the lot, but the one on this street, whatever the street.
Yeah, there's a few, but yeah, there was, most of them were up by the street.
Great, so all those have been removed. That probably feels good. The storms. It's not nice having a 80-foot tree next to your house during one of those storms, huh?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
That's what, they were there when we first moved in, so yes, we understand.
Mhm. Yeah, so I have a couple little comments there, mostly just things I noticed, about the design that are sort of just worth considering as the owners. One is that this bathroom or bedroom 2 at the existing house, you're coming in pretty close with the ADU. There's gonna be a deck above too.
Yeah.
And the only light in that bedroom looks like it's gonna be pretty limited now. Which is fine, it passes code and you have your free area for egress but that just might be worth taking note of, because I think that bedroom is gonna get considerably darker than it is now.
Yeah.
We certainly talked about that at the time, and I think you said that it isn't used much.
Right.
Yeah, so, there is a trade-off on the design. There's, it's clever to catch that.
That's, and then. Just kind of a comment, because we've got time and I don't have any other comments. The, patio at the rear elevation from the ADU, is just slightly off center from the windows at the garage.
I saw that too.
And, if there was an opportunity to align those, I think it would look awesome, but,
But there was a reason though.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I could
I'm
argue
sure
the
there's
same thing.
a
Yes.
reason.
That's the bedroom right there, or inside, right? Or the living room, it's like something,
Yes, right.
it's like, it would be odd to have the window there.
Yeah, it's, it's always, we center the upper windows in the garage. So the elevation like symmetrical, but honestly, this side of the house is really, really hard to see if you're really hard to reach.
Oh,
down.
It's just,
Yeah, and then we have
architect.
we have the inside, we decided purposely to do the inside, to work for the inside.
Sure.
So, we put priority on places that the clients would see. It's a
Mhm.
good consideration though.
But yeah, that's all I have. Do you have any other comments?
Yeah, so just, I guess what I'm gathering so far is that there's not any particular conditions or recommendations we have. Is that, the patio level, is that something that would level up to a recommendation on your part, or just more of a question for?
No, yeah, just to make sure you guys are aware of that. And yeah, I think that's right. I don't have anything worth recommending. I mean, it's all here. It's pretty cut and dry. Like, I think in general, it's a great improvement to the house that's there that is kind of boxy, and the adding of this little mass on the side helps break that up. And taking a existing structure out of the setback is awesome.
Yeah, I want to, I mean, we'll have that in the write-up, but just want to compliment I'm glad you touched on the design approach, not to the existing house and, you know, to look at the massing, the totality of it, because the original home, and no offense, it's just a term that we touch upon a lot, which is boxy. It's a look, but,
Yeah.
I think that complementary structure,
Yeah.
or that structure is complementary to that.
Totally, it reduces that 3-story mass really well, just throwing the patio in there.
Yeah, and you can imagine when the trees were there, it's just trees and that house, I mean, it was surrounded when it was built by the eucalyptus, these humongous eucalyptus. So it may have looked a certain way.
Yeah,
Then, you know, before we moved in, all the eucalyptus on one side were taken down, and then the property on the other side had so it was huge eucalyptus, the big boxy house, and nothing on one side, and then we took down all the eucalyptus, so now it's just a box standing there.
right, yeah.
So Chris did a great job in helping us, you know, work it into the landscape and try to work with, you know, the neighbors and be conscious of, you know, of all aspects.
Mhm.
Trying to anticipate all the, you know, any objections there might be.
Yeah, I think I mean, if I was a neighbor, I would appreciate that, based on the square footage, that the property or the new addition is not maxed out, as we've seen in multiple projects proposed recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any additional thoughts, Moshi, or should we ask before we move on to see if they want us to move forward with the vote?
No. Yeah,
Okay, thoughts from the owners, architects?
I would be to move on to,
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, I'll make a motion to proceed with the recommendation on the design review permit as well as a categorical exemption based on the secret exception 1503, without any project conditions or recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion. Next I will do a roll call. Mark Din
Yes.
and Moshi Porter,
yes.
and this motion has passed. So item number 2 is scheduled for 2:15, so we'll take a break until 2:15.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the hard work.
So we're resuming now with item number 2, and Mark, would you like to introduce the item?
Sure. You guys are welcome to come forward. Okay, this is item number 2 in Moss Beach. Owner is Warren O'Sullivan. Applicant is Edward Love. File number PLN 2024-00261 at 2100 Belmore Street in Moss Beach. Accessor's parcel number is 037-086-080. This is for the consideration of a design review permit to allow for a major remodel of an existing 3-story, 3,270 square foot, single-family residence with an attached 2-car, 424 square foot garage on a 5,294 square foot legal parcel. The project includes minor size and design changes to side and rear decks on the main and upper floors, a new spiral staircase at the rear, change to roof design of the house without an increase in height, as well as minor size reduction to the existing garage. The project involves no tree removal and only minor grading. This project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15301A. The project is not appealable to the California Coastal Commission, and the application is deemed complete as of February 11, 2025. Project planner is Jonathan Bruns.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the applicant's architect is present. If you'd like to go over the design aspects of the project.
Yeah, basically, it's a major remodel and the existing house had a rather strange floor plan. And most of the work is on the interior of the house, well, not exactly. So it's 3 stories on the ocean side. And originally, the main floor, the living floor was on the second level in the middle of the 3 levels. But we're moving it up to the 3rd level. And the 3rd level existing had what we call a gambrel roof, like a barn. And that drastically cut down, you can see it there you are in the section. That drastically cut down the usable space up on the 3rd floor. And that's really the living floor, or what we're gonna make the living floor. So our proposal is to take those canted walls and move them out vertically and open up the space up on the 3rd level. That's the biggest alteration to the existing building. Additionally, the garage on the east side has been damaged by a falling limb back quite a while ago, I think. And also water coming down the slope from Valimar on the right side there in the rendering has caused a lot of water damage to the garage. So the garage would be demoed and rebuilt and reduced a little bit in area because the house actually is a bit over lot coverage at the moment. And so we'll get back within the guidelines for the lot coverage. If you want to go to the elevations that show the existing and the proposed, that those are the most telling things. That's that would be the elevation facing south. And you can see we actually had less windows than they had before. They had a couple sliding glass doors there. But because of the change in the floor plans, the windows change around. Another, I think, nice item that's gonna look good is there's brick down at the lower level where the basement, the daylight basement comes out. And so that'll be covered with stone veneer now. It'll look a little more natural rather than the old red brick. And the roof becomes a very low hip roof, replacing the barn roof that's there now. And that side picks up some more windows, you can see. That's the big change there, opening up both second and all levels actually with more glass. And really making it a wonderful seaside house that, so everybody can enjoy the views much more than previously. So that's basically it. Not very unusual, just improving on what's already there. Making better use of an older house that was not wonderfully planned and designed.
Okay, thank you. Any clarifying questions from committee?
Is there a plan, are you planning to reside the whole building, or is it just?
Yeah, yes, definitely, I'm sorry.
It's rough.
Yeah,
It's there now.
we're replacing it. Already blank?
It says-
Already shingled, okay.
Cool. Is that horizontal?
It's like shake.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, it looks horizontal. If you zoom in a little bit more, it's actually shake
Mhm.
on the, yeah, on lower, a little bit lower. On the actual, yeah, that right there. That's a picture of an actual same exact site.
Gotcha.
That's from, looks like it's from the Hardy catalog.
It is a horizontal look, but it is shake.
Yeah.
Which is much more too.
Cool, and then I was wondering if you could just speak to the decision to put the living space at the top a little more.
Better view,
Better.
higher up.
Mhm. That's, keep it simple,
Yeah. Typical on the coast.
yeah. I mean, I like what it does in terms of gets you above that neighboring eave for the view.
Mhm.
Um,
And the house on the right, as we're looking at it here from the ocean side, is presently being remodeled.
Gotcha.
I did love that from the top floor, the previous owner had his bedroom up there. And it really was just the best view up there. I'm like, oh.
Mhm. Yeah, it's often a trade-off.
Yeah.
Where you put the good view. Master suite or the living space.
For all of us to enjoy.
Mhm. Okay, and then. Is there a lighting spec in here?
The exterior lights, of course, will all be dark sky.
Yeah.
And there are some exterior lights on each side of the garage and each side of the entry.
I see them in the rendering, but. You get that with specification.
I think that's it right there.
Oh, it's on the
Right,
plans.
yeah.
Okay, great. Cool.
I think, now I'm gonna sound good, bureaucrat, but maybe this is a question for Louis, please. Just in terms of the size of the structure. Yeah, I appreciate the reduction, for the lot coverage to stay within the zoning regulations. But in terms of the floor area, I mean, this is, I'll just be frank, it's a big house, right? And, the proposal, keeps the floor area, at 68.8. Percent, where the allowable is 53. Is this just a grandfather building, or or was the original structure done unpermitted? And what's the history behind it?
We do have the project planner here. If you'd like to speak to that, John?
So from what I could find, it's probably gonna get grandfathered in the last plans that I could find. For the place being redone, I think it was in the 80s or the early 90s, and I think back then they had a different idea of what the lot coverage and floor area was gonna be, so. What they have right now, yes, it's grandfathered in that they're not getting any worse. They're getting slightly more into compliance and get the other stuff over, but, the main thing we were looking at is that, yeah, it's not getting worse. And I imagine back when they originally built this, there was just a different, idea or the regulations were just different back then to allow them to do this.
I think that's all the questions we have.
Okay, with that, we can move to public comment. So we're now opening public comment for item number 2. So I do not have any speaker request slips in person. And I do not see that anyone is joined through Zoom. So I'll just give a few moments in case someone would like to speak on this item. Okay, seeing none, Chair, please indicate if you'd like to close the public comment.
Yes.
Okay, we'll now once again limit discussion between the committee members, staff, and the applicant.
Yeah, one more question, or one more clarifying. Yeah, looks like there's an existing fireplace. Is that like a masonry fireplace?
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna take that out and then replace it with like a gas unit?
Right.
Okay, let's get into it. Just if you could flip over to, let's see here. Page 18 or A302. My primary concern is just the increase in the floor, or the square footage on the 3rd floor. So if you talk about apparent massing, then I realize this is, a slight reduction in square footage. It's a boxier design on the 3rd floor, and our design review guidelines talk about a top floor, placing it towards the center of the structure and, having some, I guess, stepping, if you will, to reduce the apparent massing. And so, I understand the intent is to put the public spaces on the 3rd floor there, but if I'm looking at what the new structure looks like compared to the old, it looks like more massing. Well, even though there's a reduction in the floor area. So that's my biggest concern with this design.
If you were to reduce the 3rd floor area, it would be very difficult structurally because you would have to put in some new beams in the 3rd floor space.
How about not a reduction, but keeping it the same?
Oh. Well, the idea is to maximize the space up on the 3rd floor with the open plan kitchen, dining room, and living area. And have the bedrooms down below on the 2nd level. And the lower level, the daylight basement becomes a game room.
Yeah, just to me, this is, already exceeding the maximum floor area by a significant amount. And I'd like to see that go in the other direction where, the apparent massing, especially on the top floors, is to me not increased.
Okay, well, whole room, new design. I mean, is that a deal killer?
I mean, just to weigh in, I sort of disagree. I think given the context on the block, there's a lot of large homes. I don't know the details on sort of square footage, but I think it wouldn't be out of place, be kind of character, this one.
Yeah, those houses are big, and the new houses too. The lots, it's a small lot.
It's a small one. But I think, in my opinion, it's an improvement on what's there. And I think,
In terms of the massing.
yeah,
Would you say?
and I think, up to a certain degree, like, I am willing to adjust if the community is up in arms about something. But I think this is like within it doesn't look boxy to me. I think it's working with the existing architecture. And, still improvement on what's there at the moment. I mean, that's just how I see it. I'm willing to hear you out and get behind you if you want.
Yeah, I think where I am with it is that if it wasn't exceeding the maximum floor area coverage, and the lot was larger, I just think kind of scale wise, it makes sense, but even if you look at the houses adjacent, like is it the 2080, sorry, I can't. But there is kind of more of that, stair stepping, and even that look right there, I mean, I know it's a little bit of optical illusion, but it almost looks like the lower floors come in versus, so, yeah.
The exterior
It's
walls
even
do
looking bigger.
line up. The exterior walls line up.
Yeah. It's, yeah, and like I said, it's kind of more of an optical illusion, but you see down below where it's sort of, yeah. To me, it sort of visually looks like it's not stepping in, in fact, like the lower floor is smaller, even though it's not. Just the way the layout is. So I don't know, I think we might have to agree to disagree, but to me, it feels like a bigger structure, even though it's not, and I would love for it to, retain its square footage, but appear less bulky.
From a structural point of view, it's almost impossible to make that change to make the top floor smaller. I mean, it's not impossible, but the cost involved in doing that. But secondly, I agree with Mr. Porter that the appearance of this house is much improved from that barn. And so I think it's a reasonable remodel based on the situation we're presented with. If they were asking to make it bigger based on extending the walls out, then that would be a different story. Then I agree with you 100%. So
They are extending the walls out.
no. I'm not talking, I mean, all up and down. All up and down. They were extending, if they were taking that third floor and pushing it out beyond the first and second, but they're not, they're following the same line. So it's a minor change in terms of the view, or the appearance for the neighborhood, I believe. That's just my opinion on it, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think the design is, I like the improvements to the look, and it is, like you said, maybe a more modern, less barn-like appearance. That said, we've had a lot of projects come here where we've talked about shifting the third level or the second level and into building structure, shifting it towards the middle, daylight plane, all that stuff to avoid shadows and.
It's you and Mark and Mr. Porter's call. I just, I appreciate you allowing me to come.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, I think there's a slight reduction in the overall height as well, as I recall.
Yeah, bringing down the reach height.
Also, don't forget the view that we're looking at here on the elevations is from the ocean. Side. And the only way we'd ever see that would be out in the boat.
Is there a walkway, a public path along that? In fact, I feel like that's the view that most people will see because the backside is freeway mostly. Or sorry, highway. But yeah, neighbors, it won't. You know, be a concern to neighbors.
Can we add something here, or do I have to wait till the end of the session?
The public comment period is complete.
Do we open it up for public comment?
Yeah, if you'd
We
like
can
to.
open it up again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can open up public comments. Please state your name and address for the record.
Alicia Bari, 2090 Alamo.
Yeah.
I'm the next door neighbor. I definitely like the architecture, would like to see the project to move forward. From the neighborhood. This time. That will be good.
Appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that, we'll, unless there's anyone else that would like to provide public comment. If not, we'll go ahead and close public comment.
I'm gonna have a question for the planner.
Okay.
Do you know when the zoning for this was the latest change in the zoning for this?
Give me 1 sec to pull up.
Cause I wonder if it's addressing development on that coastal bluff and being weary of the
Change to the S17 zone here was, September 7th of 2012. I don't have what it was prior to that. Looks like it changed a number of times in 2011 and 2012, and before then it hadn't changed since 2001.
When, do you know when the house was built?
Give me 1 sec, I can pull up when at least the assessor's office say were built.
Yeah.
I believe though it's not a recent house. The, plans that I was mentioning earlier, I believe those were, itself redesigned plans and redoing plans, not, new house. I think even back in the 80s or 90s when I saw those, the house as it is right now probably wouldn't have been allowed to build as such by then because of its height, but I couldn't say 100%.
So is there an attached variance with this work that needs to be done since it's exceeding the zoning regulations?
If it were getting worse, yes, but since it's reducing its overall overage, no. Our idea right now is that they're becoming more compliant. But like I say, if they were
By reducing the floor area, but expanding the third floor?
by overall reducing the floor area and overall slightly reducing their loft coverage.
Yeah.
Just by the numbers.
Yeah, actually, how's the floor areas? So I'm assuming the floor area on the third floor is increased
No,
on the third floor.
The assessor's office say that the house was built in 1980, which is more recent than I would have thought, but that's the number. they gave.
But I guess what I'm getting at is like maybe there has been a reduction in the zoning in that area because of urban concern. Square footage for that lot and in general. So, my argument, Mark, is just that maybe it's.
Yeah, I couldn't be 100%, but I imagine back in 1990, they had a very different idea of what the area wanted for floor area and lot coverage.
Yeah.
Right, it's just the height on the third floor, or second floor, I should say, at the bar ends are pushed up, but the floor area
Right.
is, like a slight reduction. And I wonder if there's ways to I'll break up the apparent massing, you know, or to through visual uses and not necessarily reduce the construction size. Is that front side, I mean, you know, I understand maximizing views and keeping all the windows, but is there any considerations on how to do that to visually not make it look more prominent on the third level?
I think we 45 the corner, up on the third level, on onto the deck. Then if we look at sheet floor plan for the third floor.
Yeah, the door is out there.
Right, yeah, you can see where we remove 14 square feet and 45 the double doors going out onto the deck. So that would reduce it a little bit visually. But again,
It should be also on
Jim
the
mentioned-
left side, bring some articulation to the wall. And again, the high, it's brought into high conformance, it's brought into lock coverage conformance, and the floor area has been reduced in the garage. And there's gonna be a little bit more trees planted to replace those rotting decks.
if this were a new house, of course, we'd be doing it differently. But we have to work with what we have, so. Lauren didn't care for the shape of the roof, we didn't care for that either, the barn-like look. So. Taking the walls and. Making them vertical. Seemed like the right thing to do, especially in view of the open plan on the third floor. Making it much more usable. Jim mentioned moving the walls in on the third floor. Structurally, anything's possible with enough time and money, but
Pretty expensive.
very expensive. You basically have to tear the whole third floor out, rebuild it.
Yeah, I think that would be extreme. I don't think that's what I'd be looking for, but just, you know, bay windows or just, you know, some sort of articulation that would contribute to a more, a less boxy design.
Are you guys planning on pitching the ceiling in the living room?
Mhm.
Yeah. Would you consider bringing that gable out all the way instead of hitting it?
Well, I think the gable, it's a hip roof just to reduce the mass,
Yeah.
rather than have a gable come out and
Yeah, that would add.
that would add to it.
We did that to stay under the
Under the
not to
height.
exceed.
Yeah.
And you can see in the other elevation, follows 28 feet from grade, and that hip stays underneath,
Mhm.
that keeps it underneath that, so.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but would that be? I don't know, to me, that might look better.
I think if you look at it, not in such a straight on view, but maybe in the demonstration scale, you can see the 45. The other one, the first one, but. You
What do
can
you think,
see
Mark?
the-
Am I just adding this?
But by putting it to like from a hip roof.
So letting that gable fly all the way out, like how it is.
Yeah, it's just the view from the ocean side.
What's your ceiling height on that third floor? From the window height,
8 foot, top of plate,
8 foot?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
it's not higher or just,
I guess that, yeah, I guess in my thinking is that you could let that gable fly and then lower the clay height a little maybe, but
yeah, I mean, to me, it's a step in the right direction, and even like I mean, I understand a full, like the deck coming out, like the full length of it, I mean, I'm sure that's where you wanna be, but even the deck, the changes to the deck is making it more boxy.
Hmm.
Right, cause what's the previous, like this, the existing structure of the deck and the.
There's actually more deck on the existing structure, because there's a whole deck on the.
Yeah,
On the
on
side, it's gonna be replaced with some nice trees instead of. wooden
But
deck.
that upper deck, current existing, doesn't go all the way out to the far left, does it? Like where the window is, right? It's sort of a, now it's sort of getting
It
wider.
stops on that corner, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, I feel, I'm just. I still think the design is nice, but I feel like the hitch. Roof at the view side is kind of a concession, like I would. Just carry that out if you think that.
What about changing the colors? You know, on that somehow, you guys have any thoughts on changing materials or colors a little bit?
Yeah, articulation, yeah, like colors, just, there's a uniformity there that's making it.
You know, I like, you know, of those three houses, it fits in there very, very nicely, I think. And this gentleman's comment, I think, is well taken as well.
That's mine is the one in the deck. So,
Yeah,
mm,
so,
I mean, the other thing that kind of helps, that would help is a roof covering the porch. Cause then you're kind of,
oh, that front porch,
you're capturing it more like the old.
Yeah, so there's
Roof.
almost like you know, sorry, on the bottom of the first floor. I mean, I don't,
If you bring that out.
the top roof line and over the porch a little bit, is that what you're talking about, Mo?
I think that would help with the mass a little bit in the direction that Mike's talking about, but
oh, I thought you meant actually in the lower area, so it's sort of stepping from the ocean a little bit in, but if you add a roof on the, over the top deck, it's even gonna make it. Are you gonna, yeah.
I think it kind
So
of brings the
top
mass up a little bit, because then you start to read,
Well, you don't have to
you
extend
start
it
to
out
read like
all the
this
way.
more, like its own piece. Which would be kind of separate from the other piece.
Yeah.
One thing that would be easy to do that might help out with what you're discussing is to 45 the corners of both the second and third floor decks, right in there.
That was a suggestion I was going to make, but it seemed like just reducing, all we're doing is reducing your view and. That didn't feel good to me. I don't think we need to do that.
It's just cutting down on the floor area of the deck a little bit. And
Yeah,
that would add a little bit of deck articulation, if that's a term.
yeah,
I would make a suggestion to doing a bay window up in the kitchen, if that's what seems so flat.
mhm.
Or on the other side.
It's on the third level right now.
Yeah, right under that skylight. Viewers.
But again, I think maybe looking at the other render over from the driveway. And that's really what people are gonna be seeing, and there's, you know, pulling in from the first floor, and then there's a little bit pulling out, and then there's also a new porch.
Once again, we have to work with what we're given.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty house.
It's almost like counterintuitive, but like if the lower deck actually extended out further. You know, it's more massing, but in a way, there's some stepping from the ocean, does that make sense? Then it. So that you don't get that kind of just single plane on the ocean side going straight up. I mean, I'm hesitant to make, suggestions. I feel like that's for you guys. I just want to react to, that blockiness.
Well, what
I
about
think-
45ing the corners of the both?
I like that. The deck, the 45 and the decks, yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of breaks up the right angle, sort of.
And what we could even do on the 45s on the deck, rather than making it a railing, it could be a piece of solid wall. So that would change the look of it a little bit and less glass railing on the front.
All the corners.
Mhm.
That's
There's a lot of focus on this, just the overall size, but in terms of like other items in the design, I think I admitted to not looking as closely on the inside layouts, but any other items you?
No, I think, as long as as long as the owner is excited about the top floor being the living area, I think that's awesome. I mean, you are gonna get the best view up there. I think this is the big item that we're currently.
Yeah, and I can see, a condition that's adding articulation to the decking so that it's not kicking the full width of the property and maybe providing like that, minimum, whatever. So would you say a 45 would be reducing at the front of the railings, do you have a?
Yeah, you wouldn't see as much horizontal railing across the whole front. You would see 45 and make the 45 instead of a railing, make it a piece of solid wall.
Yeah, in terms of like a minimum, reduction. I can see like saying, okay, doing a 45. I don't know if that's too prescriptive or it's just a reduction in the X speed to the.
That would be a nice change, I can see that.
Yeah. You'd lose about, if it's 5 by 5. About square root of 25.
Yeah, just.
Yeah,
Would you be comfortable with just saying 45?
Yeah.
Okay. 1-to-1, yes.
Okay. Any additional comments?
And what do you think about some of the? That also.
It's the gable lid, yeah.
I think that would look much better if it's love for the planning department.
It's similar to that house to the left, yes, that's
It
the
just
thing.
seems like a concession for something that they already have. It seems like that would look nicer to me.
I guess that would be a question, which should we ask?
Yeah, another question for the planner, because if they're already over the height limit, is a reduction in that height limit okay?
They're not over hot limit, they're at hot limit, so coming down anymore is, I suppose, good.
The existing structure, at least from the elevation, showed it over the height limit.
Which sheet are you on?
A201.
They're at 30 foot. The existing is, what I have it on there is 29 foot 6 inch, 6 inches below.
Is the height limit 28 though, or 36?
I believe it's.
It's 28, but you have to follow the grade, so it gets a little tricky because grade is different on one side of the house or the other.
We didn't qualify for the 36 limit because the slope of the lot was too shallow. It was
So I believe that their height from existing, so from the tippy end of the roof down to the grade directly below, I believe is right at their limit, but they're coming down anyway, so it's good. So any reduction,
A reduction would be okay, so if they did wanna gable that end, that would be okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cause I think we wanna give you that option, at least from my point of view, I think that helps the design, if that's something
I
you
mean,
want.
that roof was brought and hipped in just to comply with the height.
Yeah, if you put a gable on the end, you'd be piercing the 28-foot line.
Yeah,
Well, you'd still be under where you are currently,
I guess.
which is what the planner's saying. Would be okay.
How would that work with the 45?
I don't know, I wanna just put that in a write-up as an option for you guys, as a recommendation.
Not just a recommendation.
Not a
But
requirement.
if you push.
I
the
mean,
gable
it's
up
just,
here,
if you have a pitched ceiling in there, it'd be cool if it's pitched all the way off to the view, that's
That would be
what you
nice.
want.
You could still have a vaulted ceiling even though it's a hip roof. so.
Yeah,
And maybe, we might choose to do that, but,
I think what you're saying, Rich, is it'll be potentially higher, but still lower than the existing, or
it'll be lower than the existing.
it'd be lower than existing, but it would still be violating the 28-foot.
which is already still being violated.
And,
No, it's not.
How does,
In the
I think it's
existing.
currently,
Oh, the existing it is, yes,
but even the
The
new,
design they have now is be fine.
yes.
it's.
No, I mean, the 28-foot.
It's,
We sloped the hip that way precisely to be below the 28-foot.
at that point, but the ceiling further into the structure is still. If you follow grade, there's
What-
portions of the.
what I'm hearing from the planner is that if it's lower than what's existing, it's okay. And,
Please, can you get a 201?
that's to be confirmed with the rest of the planning department, but if that's the case, that would be awesome. Cause that is the case.
Well, what you have to do. The ordinance reads 28 feet below existing grade at the highest point of the roof. But. The grade is down in the basement, so you just take an average between the grade on each side of the house.
Yeah,
And that becomes a theoretical grade directly below the ridge of the roof.
mhm.
And that's what we've shown here.
That's how that slope there.
That's how you have to.
Right.
Right at
the front.
yeah. I thought it was going. Okay, so if they didn't do the hip roof, it'd be kind of, I think what you're saying is keeping it like the original roof line there.
I kind of like the way that roof looks, the existing way it's designed, but.
Yeah, I like how it flies out there, but I just wanna give them the option if that is something that the planning.
Yeah, no,
department-
that's a good one.
Cause we don't have the. We're not checking against. That per se, exact. How it relates to the. We don't have any say on whether it maxes out the. Code. In terms of planning or zoning, that's the planning department, and if
Well-
they're saying it's okay, I think that's an improvement on the design.
Well, so yeah, did the planning department require this change to hip it to stay compliant? Or is the planning department okay, and the owners obviously, okay, keeping the original roof design?
Well, we tried in every way to get more compliant with the house, and that was just one of the ways.
Yeah. No, I hear you, but I think,
In this case, it's working against the boxiness, right? Like the new design is, because it's the.
yeah, I mean,
If you notice, there's a gable at the other end of the house, on
yeah.
the left end, but
I think that is nice.
we deliberately put that very low slope hip on the front to get it within compliance.
I believe when they did their original, pre-application review, one of the comments was that, that planner at the time while it wasn't being imposed upon them, I suppose, it was being nice that, yeah, that they try and reduce the height of the roof that's sticking out there to that bond.
Yeah.
So that is what they're doing. They're complying with that and the height. And just on a quick little measure here, my thing here, so at the point, at least to me, where the roof is being now angled down, it's still, maybe it's a little tidbit over the 28 feet, but it seems like it's okay to me.
Do you get what I'm asking them? I'm asking if they can continue that gable
Yeah,
all the way up. And it's fine if the answer is no, but I think that would be an improvement on the design than what's here. And I think it's an improvement on the height, similar to the improvement on the square footage.
yeah, as long as nothing is getting worse, which
It's
is,
not getting worse, it's just not getting better.
yeah, as is, or like for like and stuff, that's usually all cool, and I think that's where it's going. Yeah, they just kind of leave it like that.
Okay,
As it is existing, it's got permanent as being okay when it built like that, so it's still okay until they changed it up. So like,
yeah,
Okay, so I think where we're standing is that we would have a condition about the deck 45ing in.
yeah,
And then a recommendation that, maintaining the existing gable roof, would be something that would help contribute to a less boxy design.
If you
Even though it's
look at these, what would you see? Which would you say looks boxier, the original or the proposed?
from that elevation, but what you're missing on that elevation is the pitch.
Right.
I mean, I think that roof object does help to break up that elevation a lot. In 3D or in real life, because it's a different object. And I don't think you need to keep that whole roof object, but I think extending that gable helps create that upper section as more of a volume.
Well, if that's an option, we'll take a look at it.
I would hate for, the planning department to be pointing at us and then us to be pointing at the planning department, and you guys end up with a worse design because of it. I just want you guys to get what I think would be.
Sounds beautiful. Well,
Yeah, just to clarify, so at the time that a structure is built, if it was built legally, but then our codes change, it would be considered legal non-conforming, which sounds like this is a case that a historical building permit was found for the house. So at the time that someone were to apply for any kind of remodel or to that structure, we wouldn't require that everything be brought into compliance and becoming further into compliance, but they wouldn't be able to get more uncompliant without a use permit.
Yeah, that's the nature of my comment about the sort of putting up the third floor is I'm not asking for, to move it to everything to compliance. I understand that it's already, it's already gonna get bigger. It's just trying to make that upper floor not get bigger. That's,
Well, I think the condition for the 45s on the decks, I think there's a whole lot. Especially if it's a solid wall. And reduces the railing, in that elevation.
Okay,
I mean, to me, it's a pretty small concession.
yeah,
Okay, then do you still want to make that recommendation, even though it's potentially?
I do. I mean, I think it's worth it for the owner.
We'll take a look at that.
yeah, I think I would be chill with it. If it stays out there, that's the way it is. I don't think I'm gonna pick up no full spade.
It sounds good.
Would you like us to make a motion at this point, or?
Please, yes.
Okay, and so let me take a stab at this. I'll take a motion to recommend the design review permit with one condition of I don't know exactly, I'll write it out, right, but just making a 45 on the deck. The front deck, on both levels?
Yes,
Okay.
Corners, on both corners,
Corners
right?
on both.
the southwest corners.
Yeah, then a recommendation, to consider keeping the gable footprint of the existing structure.
But reducing the height.
Could be the same.
Okay, so we have a motion. Next I'll do a roll call. Mark Then
Yes.
and Moshi Porter.
Yes.
Okay, this motion has passed. And we can move on to item number 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So next, let us move on to item number 3. And for item number 3, James Bennington, would you like to introduce?
Thanks guys for your patience.
One more.
Samples. Later now. I'll just lay them. Is that good here?
Yeah.
All right, we all set?
Yes.
All right, this is, applicant owner is Stephanie Batiste. Stephanie, right?
Perfect.
Thank you. Plan number 2024-00297, locations 825 Edison Street in Montero. Parcel number is 036-161-270. Consideration of a design review permit to allow for the construction of a new one-story, 1,887 square foot, single-family residence with an attached 516 square foot garage. Thanks. On a 6,250 square foot legal parcel. Certificate of compliance. Plan number 2024-00160. This project includes the removal of one significant tree and minor grading. This project is exempt from an environmental review pursuant to the CEQA guidelines, section 15303A, class 3 new construction of small structure. Project is not appealable to the California Coastal Commission. Application is being complete on February 11th, 2025. Project planner Jonathan Bruns. All right, there you go. So,
Thank you. Yeah, if you'd like to go over the design elements of the project.
Sure, thank you all for being here. I'm Stephanie Batiste and I'm here with Joe Rizzi and Renee Crow, sorry, Renee Crow. I can say a few words about the background of this project. I bought this lot last year, with the intentions of building a modest single-family home. I've been working in the kind of housing related industry all my life. I started as an architectural draftsperson and then became an interior architect. I've been working in that all my life, and it's been kind of an increasing interest of me to explore building houses, new construction that would be aimed at the lower end of the market, the lower to mid-range market. And so when I bought this lot, I went in search of a house that could be suitable for there. And we explored the neighborhood and to see what the style is and what might fit there. And I found this house that is an existing manufactured home. And I'm proposing that will get built there on a site-built foundation and with a site-built garage. If you want to go to the plans and maybe look at the floor plan, say a few words of what was appealing to me about this particular house. Look further down.
Sorry, it's going really slow.
Yeah, I was looking for a floor plan that had a good flow and that was kind of oriented towards the backyard. The indoor outdoor living, I like the covered porch, I like how the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the master bedroom all are oriented toward the backyard. I like the kind of entry that gives you a long view walking into a house. And those are sort of drivers to my decision. I mean, it fits the lot size-wise. Why I landed with this one in particular. And then on the exterior, if you want to go to the next page. I chose kind of a darker, what I would call a little bit more organic palette. And added in that skirting element, which is this stone here, and we added an element of a different contrasting siding over the entry for some interest and articulation, as you will. And you know, it shows a darker palette because the house next door is dark and it feels a little woodsy. There's cypress trees that will remain in the front. And to me, that was more appropriate for that setting. It's, the rest will be siding, which will be painted in that dark gray color, and the windows will be black, garage door will be black. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I reviewed this. I think it's fine. So,
Do we have,
comments?
the lighting?
The lighting sheet should be right before, or maybe after, sorry, yeah, after.
Yeah, they got that.
There you go.
Down light. Going pretty good.
Agreed. Yes.
What do you got next? Public comment?
Yeah,
Talk?
I don't have any questions.
No questions? Okay. And next we can move on to public comment. So we're now opening public comment for item number 3. I have no speaker request slips in person. And I see nobody attending on Zoom. So Chair, please indicate if you'd like to close public comment.
Close it, please.
Okay. We are now closing public comment and we will once again limit discussion between staff, the committee, and the applicant.
So, you know, I don't know if you saw that somebody submitted this about the roof and all this.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a long, narrow lot. I think you're keeping a couple of trees in the front, right?
Yeah, there's a cypress tree in the front. I mean, the other two are on the neighbor's lot, but yeah, we are keeping that.
Okay, so the idea is, you know, putting a garage up sideways, door exit, you know. And then if you look at the site map, Mosh, on the, you know, let's see, what, A12, I guess? You have that?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
It's well.
You look at the roof lines of the 3 homes there,
Yeah,
and you look at the garage on the right, you know, that garage is a bigger, issue than this one. At least you've got a separation of the roofs there.
Mhm.
And so,
No, I agree.
despite the concerns that were raised here, I think this is
Yeah, I think
totally acceptable to me.
there are design moves that you can totally get away with, working in a single story, world. And I think having a little more of like a more prominent garage is kind of one of those, because it can look cute. Uh, in association with the house, and I think that's what happens here. It's really,
Do you understand the comments about the roof?
I
I
think
didn't really get that.
that's more of a reaction to the shed roof.
Oh,
and,
I like shed roofs.
Right, they're all over the place, you
Yeah.
know, we got roofs like that everywhere. You know, you go up Cedar Street, there's half a dozen of them.
And it adds
Right
that,
up the street.
That's how I read that, yeah.
it gives for that clear story in the middle, which is really
Right,
nice.
I like it, it's okay with me. Oh, and I don't, and the fact that it's a manufactured home that fits that lot, I think that's great too.
Yeah.
I also think the material change at the entry door highlights the entry really well.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of addresses that comment that was raised about the prominent garage. We're always like faced with basically, when you approach the house, are you inviting people to the garage or to the door?
Right.
And it's tough with the narrow deep lots, but I think what you've done here is nice.
The only thing that might make that, the entry a little more appealing would be instead of square cutting the sidewalk going up, is put a turn on it and maybe move that bush up a little bit or something, but I mean, I don't think that's gonna really change anything much. But it's up to you. I would make that a recommendation if anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, that's kind of a issue I've got with the, public right of way, because you like technically aren't supposed to create a walkway in the public right of way. Just,
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't
Creates
mean to
that
bring it out. It's just gonna mean curve it into the,
yeah,
into
I think
the
that can
garage.
help.
You
Just
know,
curving it in.
And then the other thing, you know, I was looking at this, there was a comment about, you know, being too close to the street or something. That, it's actually from the street to the front face of that garage door is about 50 feet.
Mhm.
So, when you look at where the actual street is, so it sets back fine.
Yeah, one thing I'm not really gathering from the drawings is sort of where this material change at the entry starts and stops. Could you clarify that for me? Maybe I'm,
Yes, if you go to the elevations. You can see it. Better there.
yeah, so Luis, can you go down to the bottom elevation?
So
So,
it's just on the front.
and just so we can see the two, elevation 1 and elevation 4. Yeah, so I always like to recommend change in material happens at inside corners. Because it's sort of more like natural, and so if I'm reading this correctly, this corner is this corner.
Yeah, that is correct.
And I think I would recommend that this face also get this treatment. And then I don't know if we have the elevation this way,
It's the other direction.
but I mean, it's still tricky there, but I might carry that along. And then where does that?
That's been up there, so. I can see where it works on the other side, that could be done, because it sort of dies into the next section there,
Yeah.
right? So, but here, then you have to keep going, then you're all the way around the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we go back up to the elevation 2.
Yeah, we don't have any other
Elevation 1.
inside corners.
I wonder if we could draw a datum and just have that material change down here.
Oh, just do above the door and below, where would you stop it with relation to that light up above it? Above the door,
That's just a number. That's not, the light is to the left.
okay.
Second.
I really don't like those material transitions on those corners.
Yeah, I looked at that and I concluded that because it's up in there above the roof, that it's not gonna be very visible, those corners.
I mean, I sort of disagree.
Yeah.
It's a paint transition? Or is it a
It's a
material?
material transition. It would be this material in the front, and
Yeah.
it's just, I didn't bring the siding, which is just
Yeah,
regular siding.
You guys feel about the side setbacks?
I don't have a problem with that, I think we're okay.
where's that? This one.
That would, I think the site plan might show that.
It's,
Better.
it's 5 on either side, the minimum's 15 combined. But to me, it's prefab home, I mean, I think it's a smaller structure, so, but I was. Usually, I thought these things kind of show up as variances, but I'm just thinking about it.
I think it's
It would
fine.
be 15 foot combined if the house was more than 16 foot.
Oh, thank
It's for
you,
2 stories.
Gotcha.
okay, thank you.
Single story is 5 and 5, right,
Yes.
Jonathan? Thank you.
Alright, I'm still trying to figure out this material.
You not like the look and feel of it, I'm trying to follow the.
Yeah, it's more, it feels like painting one side of. It's kind of like a. Old western kind of thing, like shop front, and that's it, it's like you go behind, and there's nothing there, it's like,
Facade,
yeah, it feels very painted on in a way that. Wrapping to the inside corners feels more like intentional. Especially with a material transition. I think definitely I wanna recommend doing that little bit up
It
here.
hangs out,
That's easy, that's not gonna add much grief to you. And I think that's gonna help a lot. I'm still trying to figure out if I wanna recommend the other side. But. At least you might go down elevation 2, I think it is. Yeah. That one's tough because it ends on the back.
Yeah.
And then that back is like the full flat elevation. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
we're just gonna recommend on those, right?
Well, I think the short one on elevation 4 is gonna be a requirement for me.
Okay. I'll go with that, let's do that and recommend the other one. And then they, once they're into it, they can kind of get a better feel for it.
And then the other. Sort of comment or recommendation I think that I have is I don't love the color of the house. I think you could go a little warmer. with the gray. Get a little more brown. But that gray seems a little cool to me, which is okay. It's just, I think it'll honestly, I think it'll look more like a manufactured home with that cooler gray than it will if you get like a warmer brown or a warmer gray with a little more brown in it. That'll go better with the wood siding that you're gonna put on.
That's a matter of taste, but
Sure.
I'm sure we can warm that up.
Yeah.
I thought it looked good next to the houses that it was, that it's there, because that's a very deep gray blue on the corner, the house that's there. If you go to the photo on the demonstration of scale.
The house to the left of it,
Yeah.
this was designed to be more
On
compatible with the
812.
house.
But, you know, the thing about that color though, is your color's gonna match it awful close. And so his comment about changing it a little bit's not a bad idea.
I like that.
Yeah, this is lighter. It's
But-
significantly lighter than the house that's there.
You
Okay.
like the
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah, it's a little bolder, but I see it in more paintings and I like it, but.
All right, well,
By no means is that a requirement for me.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, can we do you wanna write up those recommendations for us then?
Yeah, I think we need to make a motion first.
Okay.
Ready for a motion?
But
Yeah, I'll make a motion on this, yes, all right with you, we'll allow for the changes that are required change that motion wants, and along with the recommendations. And so that's to the siding above the door. And if that's acceptable to the owners, then we'll make that motion, and it will be conditional, and reference or recommendation. Is that okay?
Yeah,
that clear enough
can
to
you
you?
explain to me what that means in the process? I'm not.
Yeah, maybe clarify the condition.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
condition, the
So
condition
you
is,
can approve the condition, just,
you have to do that.
yeah,
And then the recommendation means you
Consider
can do it, you can consider it, or
Understood.
you don't have to do it.
yeah, but we don't have to come back,
Yeah, you don't have to come back if you accept the condition.
got it.
And so the condition is that little piece above going out.
yeah,
Foundation for a 8.5.
And you know which one it is?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
and most can write.
Right.
all right.
Above the garage.
So
Yeah.
just to make sure I understand it. I mean, we intend to think very, very seriously about the recommendations, so we take that seriously. Could you explain what would you like to achieve with that? To warm up the gray a bit, to make it,
I think
fit better
so.
in the environment?
In general, from my experience, there's cool colors and there's warm colors. And I think the houses that sort of keep all in the same language, like all warm or all cool, tend to look like there's no contrast there. It's just more like of a whole piece. And I think the bluiness and the gray in the paint color that you selected now is fighting that warmth of the wood and stone a little bit in a way that like more brown gray.
So warm the gray up somewhat.
Nothing to do with the lightness of the gray at all. It's more
Add some brown.
just get a little brown.
More brown, less blue.
Yes.
More of an umber kind of color.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other bit is like, I think if we can't get the corners to wrap all the way around, I think my requirement might be to create a nice transition detail at the corners here instead. Cause I think that might look better, where you kind of have it wrapped like a full board dimension around the corner. So you're getting
So maybe you make it look more like an inset, you have your corner pieces in this gray and you set it in, so it's more.
Could do that, or you could wrap the wood around the corner. You know,
Or the other
if
way.
these two are the same, you could wrap it like that, and you get like a
Extend it
little.
out.
Instead of stopping at that.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think that would help a lot, and I think that would look way cleaner than continuing it on one side and not doing it on the other. I think that's, I don't like that actually, in
Is that
retrospect.
your gray, by the way?
This is the,
Citing.
Yeah, it's not that.
would you like
I
to see
see
it?
it.
It's
pretty good.
Yeah, it's, there's just like, there's warmer grays. And I
I
don't,
mean, I was going from the palettes that we have to pick from. right?
oh yeah, there's like a few options.
Yeah, we don't have the entire,
It's not as bad as it
Yeah,
looks.
Whole Pantone.
they have like, I don't know, maybe 15 colors.
Just some of the siding comes pre-painted, is that what the deal is?
Yes, yeah, the house comes in 3 modules and it will have the
Okay.
siding on it.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Basically, there's modifications.
Yeah. And again, I don't, you know, it's definitely not a requirement, it's just.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the other thing is you can always paint a different color along too, so.
If the,
You don't need permit
if
for
the
that.
wood siding, is that, yeah, it's about complementing the wood, right? It's if the wood, well, I don't
The
know.
wood and the stone work super well together, right?
Yeah,
I just was
but
nice.
that's not like
too. I
wood,
mean,
is that
It's like, no, it's like that.
a veneer or?
I want us to be clear on the requirement part, though.
Yeah,
What, could you state again what the requirement is?
Yeah, so I'm,
It'll be written, you'll write it down.
It'll be written.
oh, yeah, we'll send you a document, but it'll be to do a termination detail for that material at the corner
Okay,
that either wraps around to the, I don't know the directions here, but the long elevations, or a termination detail that wraps the
The siding around
siding
that.
back into the front
Right.
elevation. With a preference for me, I think, for the wood to wrap. Rather than the siding to wrap. But that'll be the requirement. It's a fairly simple.
yeah,
requirement.
very much.
so if we meet the requirement, we'll have an approval subject to that.
That's what you're.
What,
Yes.
whatever condition we place, if you agree to it today,
Yeah,
we don't see you again.
okay, oh, okay.
You're
Yeah,
done,
Okay,
you're
good.
approved.
we love the project.
What happens? Planning,
Well, that's the most important part.
Yeah,
yeah, no, the guy from planning, he's gotta make sure that you do it, see?
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah, when y'all, resubmit your stuff to buildings, I have your building department already.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's in.
Yeah,
Okay.
we y'all have to resub the building, I would look at it and you'd be like, they did it, sweet. Oh, you're done, you're good, and then whatever else you build, y'all will get there.
Mhm.
You ready to vote, most? Did I make it clear enough?
So we do have a motion on the table, but maybe just since a lot of discussion took place, if you could clarify what's a condition versus what's a recommendation for the record?
yeah, so the requirement that we're putting forth is that there be a termination detail for that transition of material. Whether that occur on the long sides or the short, or the front elevation. And our recommendations are to warm up that gray of the siding. Does it be any other recommendation?
No, that's
Oh,
it.
and the entry,
Oh, that little thing with the entry, that's a recommendation as well.
the entry
Aside.
hardscape to kind of angle it into the driveway a little more.
Yeah.
And just to clarify that, you're talking about the walkway to curve that into the. garage?
Yeah, see, if you extend, see where that is? If you
Yeah.
extend that into the driveway
Mhm.
and take the bush out, then it makes it, you know, the requirement that we have, or one of the concerns we have is to make sure people can get to that front door and know where it's at and easy and all that and look good. And so that kind of
Would you
blocks
mind
it.
bringing up the site plan or or you can see it top there? So,
So you see how you're hard cutting in here,
yeah,
we're just maybe I mean, that
Lighting
is,
it
A
up
half
with-
circle,
lighting it
an
up with
angle,
the-
whatever, you know, a half circle
Yeah.
would be nice. You know,
That's
just,
pretty nice.
just get rid of that bush in front of it, see, so that as you're
It's
walking.
pretty
up-
nice as is too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
If
It's a
we just
recommendation.
eliminate that bush, and I think that it's extended quite a bit.
Yeah,
It's
just,
just a
And I
recommendation.
think that bush, let's go to the landscape plan, because I'm not sure
it's a real.
on that rendering, you know, I
Yeah.
wasn't mindful exactly where the.
Oh, there's one.
plant.
Yeah.
So there are plants there, but
It's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
It's only a
It's just a
recommendation.
recommendation.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to do it.
Just a rec-
okay.
Okay.
But
What,
I don't know, I mean,
Well, you know, we throw them out there and sometimes they stick.
Really,
Sometimes-
paying attention?
Yeah.
I think any entrances where you're walking on the driveway first, before you get to the walkway to the house is one of those problematic, you know, like just walking up the driveway.
Yeah, not crazy.
things. But as James said, it's a recommendation.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
but, you know, you're kind of hamstrung with that lot. It's not the, you know, best lot to build on, but you've
exactly.
done something pretty nice with it, I think. Anyway, you ready to vote? Motion?
yes.
So there's a motion, so there's clarity on condition
Yes.
versus recommendation, okay? In that case, we'll do a roll call. Moshe Porter
Yes.
and James Bennington,
Yes.
and this motion has passed.
okay.
So,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
and that was,
Yes, maybe.
Well, useful. No,
Yeah, okay, I don't know,
Thank
we just, we had some excellent time, like,
it's helpful.
yeah.
It might not come across, but conditions are something we take more. seriously.
Yeah, yeah,
That we
So
understand it
definitely.
impacts design.
Make sure we get that.
It does, and it's a good review. Thanks.
Absolutely, thank you.
and just for our order, that was the last item. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, with that, I'll do a roll call. James Bennington,
Yes.
Mark Den,
Yes.
and
Thank you
Moshe
all.
Porter.
Yes.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.
John, you and